Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Jason Nadek. There's often no shortage of factors to consider when researching stocks in a busy, fast-paced market. So much so that it might be tough for investors to sort through the noise. Many investors may be familiar with fundamental analysis or looking through a company's financial information to help understand its potential. Well, another approach that may be worth considering is technical analysis. It's the study of a stock's price and volume charts to identify potential patterns and trends that might hint at its next moves. WebBroker offers a robust screening tool for technical signals to consider. So let's walk through some of the ways to use it. Joining us is Gary Christie, head of North American research at Trading Central, the firm that developed the screening tool. Great to have you here, Gary. Thanks for showing us the ropes.
Thank you, Jason. It's always a pleasure to be invited back talking on behalf of TD. I'm extremely excited to show the tool that's embedded into the platform and a web broker, and hopefully we have some nice and engaging and insightful ideas and stuff we're going to learn today. Quite fun.
I have no doubt that we will, and I'm excited to see it as well. So, first off, how would you define technical analysis, and how can it be potentially useful for investors?
Excellent. So basically, technical analysis is the study of patterns and relationships in price and volume history that reflect the psychology and attitudes of investors and traders in the marketplace. So I usually try to break it down to three, simple facts about technical analysis and what they can provide. So really, we use technical analysis to determine the trend of a stock or instrument. Doesn't matter if it's a stock or forex or whatever product it is. It really helps us be disciplined and work with a trading plan, which is my forte, my most important part of trading, in my opinion. And then if you're a true technical analyst, you do believe that prices reflect all available information in the market. So it kind of makes it a little easier to disseminate information in the marketplace. You're not reading pages and pages of reports trying to find an idea. So it's really helping simplify that that research for what stocks you're going to buy or sell or hold.
Maybe a quick follow-up to just about technical analysis. There's been a lot of volatility in 2022. How might certain signals within technical analysis be particularly helpful during these sorts of conditions?
And I think it's critical that we have some understanding, a little bit of price action and how that affects psychology in the markets, because we've seen, we can see signals and what we call technical events that trigger, some kind of warning signals that the market's getting a little bit rough, or maybe it's volatility is increasing. It's all pure data, and really, we can see trends develop in terms of what events are triggering either bullish or bearish ahead of the curve of what we see in the economy in effect now. So we're going to go through a bunch of examples, but really, it's an automatic tool that gives you signals of, it kind of gives you a sentiment of what's happening in the marketplace. It's up to the trader and individual to interpret that, but we really try to help give all available technical signals out there so that the investor can really, try to, come to a conclusion as what they want to do with their portfolio.
Great. Okay, so some investors may be familiar with using fundamental analysis when they're researching stocks. How might pairing fundamental analysis with what we've just discussed around technical analysis help them get more information to make a better informed decision?
Well, really, if you're a fundamental, if you do follow fundamental analysis, you probably have some kind of theme or some kind of story already on what you want to invest in. Technicals helps you time that entry or exit of that company. So you may already know what stocks you want to buy based on your fundamental beliefs or some thematic, investing theme you're following, or whatever you want to do. The beautiful part is you can jump into technicals, and we'll show you how to do both of them together to really figure out, is it really maybe not the right time to buy, even though, I like this story fundamentally of the company. Technicals will help you. Well, maybe, we were in a different trend that's not with the overall market trend. Maybe we should hold back, or maybe we start setting some alerts. Maybe we want to get into the market at a certain, economic cycle or certain phase of the market. So we start getting ready, we start building watch lists. We already know what baskets we want to, invest in from a fundamental point of view. Now it's time to, dig in and see, okay, when do we take action?
Okay, so it's nice to hear that some of the different analysis theories can be kind of mutually beneficial to each other. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's dive into WebBroker to learn more about the technical analysis tool that's available. Where in WebBroker's technical analysis tab can investors go to find technical events and trends to consider?
Right on. So let's jump into the fun here. So you can see on the screen right now, we're into the main overview market data today, market overview page. There's two ways really you can access it quickly. You can go right in to your research section and click on technicals, and then you're going to come to this main page, and then there's a lot of data here I'll touch base on. But I just want to go back a bit and give you the second way, and that's really in jumping into something. So if you jump in, let's take a look at TD stock in the Canadian market. You're going to get a nice overview summary page with a bunch of fundamental information, some technical data as well, some key data. But then you can click on technicals here on the very far right, and you're going to jump right into the technical analysis tool and right away, where you can see all the events taking place for the particular stock. In this case, it's TD Bank right now. So that's two ways you can get into it. But let's just go right back into the main page and go right to your technicals. And maybe just spend a little bit of time on here because there's a lot of information. I get a lot of questions on this. What does this all mean? Right, so these are all what you've recently looked at from your personal ID when you've logged in, my recently viewed. Right, and these are on short-term time frames, usually within a week we're looking at, just to give you recent price action. Then we have the most viewed bullish from the community of WebBroker users that are using the tool across the country. We have the most popular, most clicked on stocks in terms of research. So you're kind of getting a little bit of a sentiment here as well, just by looking at this one page without doing any research at all, just moving the mouse up and down. You're going to see what people are looking at. Maybe there's some thematic theme going on or some sector that's been hot. We can jump right into trending now. Which stocks are trending, either have lots of price action. You can see some big movers here in this example today that have some bullish events. And you also see, most viewed bearish events, depending on your view of the market, right? So we have a lot of data here you can scan through and click on any one you want. But that's the main page. And again, just click on research, technicals, or get a stock quote and click on technicals. That's how you access the platform.
Quick and easy to get into the tool.
Very
And
easy.
now there's lots of different technical indicators out there. Some clients may be kind of coming across for a very first time. Is there a place within the technicals tool that investors can go learn more about what each one of them may be measuring?
So on this main page again, if you just click on technicals inside WebBroker, you'll see this education hat top right under the newsletter. You can click on that and you're going to have a pretty good resource. You can spend hours in here learning all types of different technical patterns. For one example, I'll look at the real fun patterns, right? Classic chart patterns. Maybe you don't understand, what is a flag. Here's a bullish flag. We're going to give a nice description of what it should look like on the stock chart, a nice, definition for it, important characteristics, what you should be looking for that defines a flag pattern, and where we got the research from. So there's a lot of criteria in here you can look at, and then how to interpret it, right? So I won't dig into all that today because it's just so much information there. But really, what I like about this tool is we embedded the tool within the education. So if you click on Find Events here on the right side, it will now jump into the tool, right into the meat and potatoes, and look for only those events. See, now you just became an expert in flags after spending some time in that page, and now you know what to look for. We can jump right into what's happening right now in the market in terms of identifying flag patterns, and then you can pull up some charts and see how they look, and so on. So pretty exciting stuff, but I would encourage anybody who's learning technical analysis, jump into that quick section, education, the button right here, and start learning for free.
Well, I've spent hours in there myself as well. I can vouch for. There's a lot of great information there for people to learn.
Absolutely.
So let's put the tool to work here. How would an investor start screening for technical indicators in the WebBroker's Technicals tab?
Let's just go right back. Here's again, we're at technicals from the main page, and then you'll see this hamburger menu on the left. So once we click on that, you're going to have a menu come up, and then you can go right into the screener. Now, there's alerts and watch lists, and that home page we're looking at right now. We'll get into that a little later on, but just to jump right into it, let's click on screener. and right away you're going to see some events come up. Now you're going to have to customize this. We default to Canada, but it could be any market, Canada, U.S. You can go by specific exchange if you want. I'm just going to use for my example because I'm a mainly U.S. based technical analyst, so I would click on USA just for this example here only. And there's a lot more stocks out there just for this demo. Then really you can pick a thematic list that our analyst team has built here as well. So if you maybe want to focus on autonomous vehicles, 5G networks, COVID-19 vaccine stocks, or you can go into what I love, the entire S&P 500, which is my main market. I pretty much adhere to in terms of looking for stock ideas for our hedge funds. That is our baby here, S&P 500. So we can click on that. We have the entire database listed for you, so you don't have to go looking for what stocks are involved in that sector or market. And then you can click on, even if you want, select the sector you want right now. And we have every major subsector there that you can click on. Maybe you're looking for only real estate stocks or whatever you want, transportation, utilities. I leave it open to all here right now. And then depending what kind of investor you are, because of course you can go long, you can go short. Some people like to trade options in different directions and hedge. You can really pick that direction that you're looking for in terms of ideas. I'm going to look for bullish events to see if we get some kind of market reaction to this market we've been seeing, this volatility we've been seeing lately. So let's click bullish, and we got the top 100 matches already. And there's a lot of data here, right? So we can fine tune this and change it up, but right now we have some ideas that you can look at, and really we're looking at every single type of technical event out there. And we have over 80 of them, right? So maybe we want to simplify because there's so much here. Maybe you don't understand what Williams %R means, and you don't want to, maybe you don't care what about that result. But we can really fine tune it here. So let's just really click on the filter tool here, right on the left, and this is where we start fine tuning the screen to narrow down so maybe a good 20 or 30 matches if we can. So you can select only ETFs if you're investing an ETF investor only, or you can select stocks with options. I like to do this one personally just because it gives us a little bit more liquidity. If it has options available, it has a little bit more volume on average, but your preference. We can cycle by market cap, large, mid, small. I'm just going to use a large cap for this demo right now. Then we do have the quantamental rating, which we'll talk about later on. If you want to look at fundamental versus technical together, we'll get into that later on. But you don't have to use any of this. You can select a specific price of the stock. I'm going to put, for example, a minimum of $10. And then you can really select the time frame too. So maybe you're a short-term swing trader that wants to hold for a couple of days to a couple of weeks, or you're a long-term investor. I like to leave them all open to daily and weekly, or you can cycle just weekly or daily. And then after going through all that, we really have the type of patterns you want. And this is probably the fun part of this, in my opinion, of where I play around the most. Maybe you just want classic patterns. You can select any classic pattern out there. You can see the results just change on the screen to classic patterns. And this tends to be the most popular in terms of technical analysis, just because classic patterns provide that a measured move price target. So every pattern has a measured move, and we can give price targets, as you can see here on the right side. But maybe you only care about a handful of patterns. You can now filter for any type of pattern you want, or only one type. So I can click them all off and then select, maybe I only care about what we just looked at before, a bullish flag, and a head and shoulders bottom pattern. And you can see now we're getting only those results. And again, you can combine it with other indicators as well. So you can get into candlestick and bar patterns. These are the candlesticks I mentioned before. You can pick all these. And again, this is all in the education center. There's a lot here. I don't expect anybody to know what a hanging man means, unless you're doing it full time for a job like me. Then in case you have to know. But going down, you can avoid those, select them all if you want. You can jump into indicators, and indicators are really nice for helping develop, identifying trends in the marketplace, either bullish or bearish or neutral. You can do moving average crossovers, and then you can also put in a price move. So maybe I only want stocks that have a minimum chance, a minimum upside of 15%. and I could click on that and hit enter, and then you're going to get the cycles to come right down in results. But now you're fine tuning the screen, finding some interesting criteria. Here we have some results in the U.S. And maybe you're more visual like I am, and you want to see why these have been identified. I just like to go up here next to the subscribe button, click on the chart option to see it in a more visual way. Now you have all the charts of these stocks taking place of the bottom patterns we picked. Not every pattern is going to be perfect or to your liking. We selected only 2 patterns in the whole entire filter. So we can fine tune that, maybe open up a bit more to find some more recent patterns. This is all the fun of it in playing around with the tool to try to find what what you're looking for.
So, in your opinion, what types of technical indicators might be most relevant to an investor who generally intends to hold stocks for a longer period of time?
Yeah, so right here, let's just go into this screen. I'm going to do a quick reset, and I'll keep this very basic, but here we have, I'll keep the same criteria at the top, but if you're looking at long term, generally people who invest long term are looking for maybe more stable companies with a larger market cap, because larger market cap stocks usually have more stability in their stock price, maybe less volatility in some cases. But that's a preference. Again, I like to use personally, more than $10 billion in market cap. It's a well-established company, less risk of volatility. But from there, if looking for kinds of trend, I think a long-term investor would be more concerned about that Dow theory component of the primary trend, and really we would focus on weekly events on here, because daily is going to be within 20 bars or 20 days in a month. In the weekly, we can go up to 5 years of history. So I would probably start there, and then the classic patterns. Really, you can select any one because patterns work on any time frame. So I would select all classic patterns that are available, and then do a quick screen that way, where in this case we have only one Seagate PLC long term in this example. So then maybe, what's the next thing I would do, right? Well, then I would probably look at some kind of trending indicator, and really that's going to be under indicators, looking at a double moving average crossover. Some people may be familiar with the golden cross, where we have a 50 period moving average crossing above or below a 200 period. That's kind of the longest term in terms of trends that we look at in technical analysis. And we can predict that in this software right here. We can identify this is data, right? So it's not really, I would say, making a prediction. It's more of, this is what happened. We had a crossover. Now, if you're a trend follower, you look for the longer period moving average below the faster period moving average in this case. So we have a 21 week above a 50 week. It's bullish in this example for Monster Beverage. So you'd be more concerned with the long-term trend, and you want it to be in your favor, right? And if you're a long-term investor right now, I would say maybe you can do a whole alert and look for bearish opportunities in your own portfolio. Right, so you can make up your own watch list, which we'll get into with your current holdings. And then maybe if you're getting a lot of alerts on the bearish side, it's something to maybe take action on in your portfolio, and vice versa. Maybe you want to get long some stocks, make a watch list. Look for the long-term triggers. Moving averages is a good one for that, for long-term. Classic patterns, of course. Those are the two that I would focus on.
Now, what screening metrics could an investor consider if they want to blend fundamental and technical analysis together in their research?
Right, so this is called the TC Quantamental Rating. And this is a new proprietary stock ranking methodology developed by or in-house at Trading Central Labs. And the tool covers over 50,000 stocks worldwide. And it basically ranks stocks on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most bullish and 1 being the most bearish. So the tool, or the ranking, uses a combination of valuation, growth, quality, and price, specifically price momentum, and also income as well, if it's a dividend-paying stock or not. And these are the key metrics when ranking a company. So if you want a perfect combination of momentum strategies and the best fundamentals, really, I would jump into this rating. I'm going to put daily and weekly here just to get more results. And then I would just slide this bar. Generally, from my experience using the tool, anything 7 or higher is the best of the best, right? So you may not always get results. We rank these every month. right? And based on all fundamental criteria, there's a huge engine behind this that you're just getting the one slider with the entire tool and team behind it. So really, all you have to do, that's simple. Put it 7 to 10. If it's a very ugly market, I could do 5 to 10. And at least you're going to get the best of the best. It doesn't mean these are buy recommendations. None of these are buy recommendations in the platform. We're just giving the data saying this is the best of the best in terms of fundamental technical.
It's interesting. Really cool tool. Okay, so can you walk us through an example of how an investor might screen for some common bullish technical indicators that they may want to consider?
Yeah, for sure. So let's jump in. So again, we're in the screen. Let's just quickly reset it. Let's just try to mix it up today. We'll go into Canada, and I'm leaving it all open, no lists, just bullish. And that's the first step, really, is pick your market first, know which market you want to trade, and then understand, are you bullish or bearish, right? So in this case, you asked me for bullish, so we got bullish set up. Again, I like to click on stocks with options because they're usually more stable, but you don't have to. You can pick small cap, mid cap, large cap. I'm going to select all in this case just to show that. And then right here, I'm going to go through. I'll keep mine to 6 or above today because the market hasn't been really bullish, but I want the best chance of success. We still have over 100 matches, so I'll leave daily and weekly open. And I love classic patterns. Maybe there's some patterns I don't like. Maybe I'm not a big fan for continuation. Diamonds, so I can remove those. And you can really pick which ones you want. Notice how I click bullish at the top, which means I'm only going to get bullish classic patterns show up for us here. And then you could go ahead and remove the ones that maybe you're not interested in. But I'm going to leave them all here for this example. And we already have a pretty good screen here, in my opinion. So we can also add in candlesticks. I'm not going to do that because, again, the fun is really the classic patterns. That's really telling the psychology of the market. Every pattern means something, and we'll give you the definitions of those, of course. So let's just look at examples. We already have a bunch of results. You can have them in list format too. I'm just going to scroll to the top. Just give it a second to update. Then I'll click on all the names. Maybe you have some names that you're looking at first. So I would go through and say, oh, there's some big names here. Maybe I'm a fan, of Barrick Gold. These are all Canadian, by the way. All these names. There's a bunch of them here. So already we see a lot of bottom patterns happening. So maybe the market is coming into a bottom. Who knows? But again, this is just it's helping you get a feel for the market. There's a lot of action happening on bottom up plays, head and shoulders bottoms, double bottoms, diamond bottoms. You can see there's a trend here. So here I will select visually what looks interesting. Here's a good example of just to pull up. Enter Plus is the #1 pick of all our criteria. And now you can go ahead and really dig into why did that event come up. And we can get into the volume on the day, which is Dow theory. While we put it there, the more volume on a pattern breakout, the better. This is an interesting setup. And you can see how our software has automatically detected a specific psychological movement in the market, right? This is a continuation wedge, you can call it, symmetrical continuation triangle. You can see this great example here. And we give you a whole bunch of tools we'll get into. But just to answer your question, this is the quickest way of getting a bullish screen set up right away. And all you have to do is click on bearish, and it's going to reverse the entire thing right away.
Okay, so on some stocks or funds or indexes, investors may notice they're getting both bullish and bearish signals. How might an investor get a better understanding of the technical trend from an overall perspective?
We built in a summary on a stock. So what we can do is, and this really works once you're in a stock. Let's just do something again like TD, for example. I'm going to jump into technicals. And here we have a summary, right? So this is, the first things you can look at, and there's a lot of information here we can spend some time on, but TD Bank ranks #3 out of 64 stocks in the financial sector based on stock performance, which is pretty big, right? Near the top. So that's the first indication. Maybe we got something going on here for a bullish trend. Now you have, we've summarized all the events happening right now for this particular stock, 26 technical events. We have short-term, intermediate term, and long-term. This is the whole Dow theory component. We analyze all trends. And really you can see at the bottom, we got 13 bullish and 10 bearish right now. So I like to use this personally as a sentiment indicator. Are we neutral? Are we bearish? Are we bullish? Right now, that's one box clicked. Right now, we really have to dig into it to see why. There's a lot of bullish events happening here. We're signaling all the events. We can do it on weekly if you're a long-term investor, which is interesting here. So if you're going long-term, you're going to get all the most recent events. And I'm looking for red signs, right? So of the long-term, there's really almost none. There's 2. And the rest are all green. So now having a bullish sentiment long-term, right? You can go into daily, short-term, and pretty even. It looks like more bullish than bearish. But that's kind of how we get a sentiment on a stock, is looking at that summary score, really.
All right, now every investor has different investing priorities and approaches. So where can they find technical events and trends that might be more tailored to their own interests?
Yes, there's one feature that, one of my favorite, right on the platform, wherever you are inside the technical tool, you're going to see at the very top above that education button that we talked about, you're going to see featured ideas, right? So if you click on featured ideas, and this also answers, I think you asked a question about combining fundamentals and technicals. Well, this is one of the best ways to look at that and do that. So really, this is customizable. This was banner, this ribbon we call it. But we're in every day we will feature the best ideas from a technical and fundamental perspective based on criteria you selected. And it's customizable to your own settings when you're in WebBroker, right? So, and then the way to do that, on the top right, you'll see custom settings. So if I click on this filter, I have, now again, this is a very basic screen that's going to give you the best of the best. If you don't want to go ahead and play with the tool, maybe you don't have time all day to look at all these patterns like I do, you can definitely go ahead and select the exchange you want. I'm going to put, this example, I'll put in all 3 here, NASDAQ, NYSE, and Toronto Stock Exchange. I want stocks, optionable stocks, and I only want bullish, for example, or I can do bearish as well. We can do, for this example, I'll split them up half and half. Unbiased investor, so I'm looking for any kind of opportunity here. So you can also select your holding time frame. So those are a long-term investors. You don't want to be watching this every day. You click up to 2 years if you want, and only have that. If you're indifferent, select them all because you want the best ideas happening right now in the marketplace. Then you can actually dig into fundamentals here, and you can't tweak the fundamentals because we've already figured that if you're looking at fair value, you want the best fair value. If you're looking at return on equity, you want the highest return on equity. So we can select those features that matter to you, market cap, revenue, whatever you want, or deselect them. You can also go ahead here and select the chart patterns you want. Maybe you might like something that's in a trend. Maybe you want specific candlestick patterns, classic patterns, whatever it is. I'm selecting them all here because I love them all. Stochastics for sure. Overbought, oversold. That's an oscillator. We can get into that later on. But and then you can also jump into sectors, right? So we know energy is pretty hot. Maybe technology might rebound. Who knows? I'm just making these up. I'm going to select a bunch. Well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to select them all. I think you get the point. We can select wherever we want to customize to you. Click done, and right away you're going to get 50-50 in results here. The 10 best. 5 bullish, 5 bearish. And you can do all bullish, all bearish. You see how easy it is to change that. So here we have, here's a popular name. We have a bunch of names here, but ABX is a name I'm familiar with, which we probably talked about today. You can see a theme happening. Some stocks hit all the buttons. Again, look into the research to make sure it's right for you, of course. But we're just giving this is pure data and what it means, right? So here you can see, even though we're in a technical tool, the current dividend yield is 4.85%, right? And it's grown 16% in the most recent fiscal year. So that is key information that value to a dividend investor or a fundamental investor, right? We got more dividend information. We also have a bullish chart pattern in here. We explain it as to why. We give the target price range, and of course, we can have market caps in here. All the criteria we selected, and see this breakout happening right now from a double bottom. That's what it is. This is very interesting. This could be a very important reversal in the market. We don't know that. Let's see how could someone track this? Okay, so maybe I'm not really a believer in technical analysis quite yet, but hey, you can click on this and click on watch, and now it's going to go into your banner watching. And as the days go on, you're going to see the price performance bullish or bearish or plus or minus, as you go on the days until the pattern no longer exists or the criteria is no longer a featured idea. So it's pretty neat where you can go back tomorrow or the next day and see, well, if I did take that trade, would I have been right? Well, then you can click on the stocks banner at the top here where it has the 10. Click on watch stocks. Barrick Gold's in there right now, and that will remain in there until the pattern is no longer viable or we've reached our target.
Okay, so you've mentioned watching stocks, and I think that's a great kind of next step for our conversation, especially with technical indicators having the potential to change so quickly. How can investors stay on top of these particular technical events for stocks, funds, or different indexes that they're interested in watching?
Let's just jump right in. The main page, technicals. We had the screen going today, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick screen. Right, so I wanted bullish ideas in Canada, and I wanted stocks with options, classic bullish patterns. So here we go. We have a very simple screen scanning the entire Canadian market for classic bullish patterns. That took me not even 30 seconds to do that. Now, to watch this and get an email alert every day when something comes available or gets removed, just click on subscribe here on the top right. Simple as that. Subscribe means you're setting an alert, right? So click on that. I'm going to call it bullish TSX. You should spell it right. Yeah, bullish TSX classic patterns. Call it whatever you want, but hit OK. It's done. So right away, you don't have to go ahead and redo the screen every time you log into WebBroker. All you do is go into your alert sections or wait for your email. It's going to tell you what it looks like, all the events that have reached your criteria. But you can go jump into that, right? So you can, once you're in the system, right, click on this hamburger wheel, click on Alert Center. There is our screen. It's pending right now. So important to note, when you make a screen today, it's not going to do anything because we do our analysis overnight when the market's closed. We want closing price data. Again, another aspect of Dow theory, looking at longer term weekly bars, closing prices to make the data. We're not looking at intraday here. It's going to do a scan tonight, usually around 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then you're going to have results the next day or even tonight.
All right, Gary, we're going to have to leave our conversation there. Thanks so much for showing us some of the ways that investors can consider using technical screeners tools in their research. Of course, there are so many other features we could showcase, so we'll definitely have to have you back sometime soon. Do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap up, Gary?
No, that's great. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. And you can see I'm quite passionate about the tool, and we can talk about it for hours. But I really encourage everyone just to play around with it and really think of it as probably the most unique risk management tool out there in this current market environment specifically. There's a lot of data out there you can take advantage of. And just a matter of taking a little bit of time, doing a little bit of research, and really getting a grasp and having a feel for that market. It's really what we designed the tool in terms of usage, right? It's getting that feel for the market, helping individual investors navigate the complex volatility that's happening right now. So any questions, fire them away. Hope to be back and talk a little bit more about the tool in the future. There's so much more to talk about. But just enjoy it and have fun. Number one, trading and looking at research is having fun. And we think we built a tool that does that and is quite engaging and fun to use.
Your passion is definitely evident, and it's infectious at the same time, Gary. So once again,
Thanks.
thank you so much. And for those in our audience, make sure to register for our upcoming live webinars and check out our library of on-demand content available in the Learning Center and on our YouTube page. See you all next time.